Okay, so heretic gets the positive projection, has the ability to impact strangers. And this universalization principle mentally, again, remember, is key, but it's not the body, which is the life. The mind getting this, or the personality getting this initial positive projection field from strangers. So when your child is born and you look down at that little 5-1 or 5-2, mama, you don't know them yet. They're a stranger. So this initial positive projection field where we get a chance that the heretic is going to deliver on some promise that satisfies the projection field. But if it cannot, if anything doesn't work, they're going to take blame and the heat for what didn't work. So whatever it is that the other person expects from you, be sure that this expectation is something that's practical for you to fulfill. That is key. The heresy, telling your truth. That's the cute part, he says. Where's the heresy in that? In other words, all you really have is a personality profile in which there is a possibility that somebody's ready to project onto you that you can be this or that. And the heresy is, in fact, what happened there? That you can tell them the truth. Can you tell them the truth if you are one of these? That initial positive projection field, is it true? If it's true, all right. Heresy, deliver on the message. If it's not, paranoia. Paranoia, is this true? When it comes to the truth inherent in our availability to be there as someone who stands in that doorway, waiting for the right projection field to occur with this expectation of whatever fulfillment that other person sees in that 5. That 5 is the way. It is the way. 5's being able to save the day, you know? How is it that one can be fulfilled on this material plane? How is it that we can have our heretical standpoint, our heretical roles that are attuned and aligned to having the capability, sensitivity, savior, saint, philanthropy, all of these positive things that one might find that we align with or not. So there's always going to be this, what do they see in me kind of capability of the awareness potential of what it is to be 5. So taking the heat, the heresy is tell your truth. That's what Ross says, it's cute. And where's the heresy? It's your personality that has to align to truth. So projecting onto you that you can be this or now that, is it true now? Your truth, your heresy, the same heresy that's available to everyone is your individuality and uniqueness is not something that's for everybody. Okay, so the unique in the configuration of what it is to be 5 is the expectation field. It has to do with the stranger, them exalting you, putting you on a pedestal. I don't know any 5 who likes being put on a pedestal because they've borne the brunt of that expectation field and not wanted to be burned at the stake again. So depending on where the 5 is, on whatever gate it is, what the design is, and the way in which the projection field is going to be oriented towards the being is the relational dynamic between those two. So a heretic brings practical provisions for the needs of others in revolutionary times, which ensures support and continued understanding. That is a gate 49. Practical provisions in revolutionary times. Because the heretic has an opportunity in that moment to tell the other their outer authority. That's what our personality construct is for, outer authority. So the power of each of our outer authority with the other, when it's correct, it can be universalized to those who are ready for that. And this key in all of that is a key that Ra would pay a great deal of respect to. This practical provisions in revolutionary times, because the essence of the heretic is that they're here for others who are in crisis. Because saint, savior, yeah, general, swoop in and save the day, or not. If it's an or not, burned at the stake because they expected great things from you. And there's the dilemma. The powerful expression of outer authority through the frequency of the voice, because the voice carries the aura, carries the awareness, doesn't it? So it's not just about the words that you use, it is about the attunement to the frequency field. Remember, when we're looking at a body graph and you see fives, you're seeing sound sensitivity, the frequency carried through the sound. So when you think about the acoustic phenomena of what it is to be heretical, it is about waves or vibrations or felt sense, the judgmentation of the attunement to the feeling, because that's what it is to be five. The frequency of the verbal audio. When you have someone with sound sensitivities, anybody with a lot of fives out there, individuality, sound sensitivities, yeah, you can attune to the tone. So in your attunement to tone, what is that vibratory frequency field that is this being, this life with its dharma or karma or whatever it happens to be, expressing as their truth? Truth rings from inside. It has this empowered or supportive or sharing of the experience or the experiment that can be felt. So the frequency of the five affects people in an unusual way, a unique way. If we go back to what a hexagram is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the furthest differentiation of the line quality, 5, that's it. 6, transition. Yeah, mutation, mutative, as in it's evolving out of that hexagram. So it's not so much that they have distinguished or attractive or sexy or whatever. It's just a frequency chemistry that's arising from the attunement to sound that is contributing its sound through its expectation field that is met by the other and projected upon. And that's why the paranoia. Paranoia, what's the opposite of that? Pronoia. Pronoia. Do you know what pronoia is? The positive. Oh, everything's working out for me. How different that is than everybody expects things from me that I cannot fulfill on. Now, when we talk about a first line body, we're now, of course, both of them are transpersonal karmic fulfillment. So you're looking at children that grew up in families where they have some kind of karmic fulfillment of purpose with the other. The other might have with them as well, but they have some kind of past life action. That's what transpersonal karma means. It just means action from other experiences embodied that one must fulfill this life with specific people, strangers especially. Going to be more satisfying, successful, peaceful, surprising if you're a 5-1. So if you're born into a family where you have the fulfillment of purpose with these people who don't even know you because they can't, and your body, this investigator body, stimulated by the hunt, a brain that's deeply connected to the search, investigating, going deep, a brain body system that is incredibly insecure